Fleet owner. August 1965. Ride coast to coast with a staff editor of Fleet Owner, as he reports first person on Navajo's 68-hour benchmark delivery of McGraw-Hill books from New Jersey to California. The weekend of June 25th to 28th was a long one for Navajo's tractor number 4155 and trailer number 2044. Also for Fleet Owner Assistant Editor Dave Weber. The 3,117 miles from Hightstown, N.J., to Oakland, California, in 68 hours was a long, rugged, and punishing test of equipment. And it seemed even longer, more rugged, and punishing to Dave. Fleet owner editors usually make the trip to the West Coast in a quiet, comfortable jet in a mere 5v2 hours, just as they travel any distance of consequence, to arrive relaxed and refreshed. So why make this trip the hard way, especially when it didn't even involve the glory of participating in a record-breaking run? Because there has been a lot of talk lately about the possibility of using new roads and new equipment for transcontinental nonstops in the not-too-distant future. We thought you'd like a first-hand report of what such a trip might be like. Over present roads with present equipment, to be sure, but it will give you a flavor of the future. Because Navajo is talking seriously about making 4-day, point-to-point trailer load premium service available in the near future, possibly as soon as 1966. This benchmark run carried a realistic load, McGraw-Hill books, for a tariff-paying customer under realistic conditions, no special routings, no pace cars through traffic, regularly assigned drivers and equipment. Purpose was to accumulate experience to indicate if this type of service can be offered regularly. We felt you'd like to have the appraisal of a passenger in the cab on the trip. Based on Weber's reports and personal reactions, Fleet Owner offers these conclusions. The roads and equipment of 10, possibly 5, years hence will make 72-hour and perhaps 60-hour coast-to-coast trips routine. Using the southwestern route, fewer mountain grades, least likelihood of bad weather. Carriers can offer reasonable assurance of 31 halves day or even 3-day point-to-point premium service with present roads and equipment, depending on origin and destination. Personal note, when my chief editor, Carol Boyce, asked how Fleet Owner could cover a coast-to-coast, virtually nonstop run, my answer was simple. Put me in the cab. His reply, you'd never be able to take it. Impossible, said Navajo. Have you ever gone over Niagara Falls in a barrel? Asked a friend. Later editor Boyce said, I want it clearly understood that you're going on this because you want to, not because we're sending you. At this point, it was no longer a matter of wanting to, which I did, but it was a challenge, which I could not turn down. Thus, with approval of ICC, Navajo, and most important of all, the 6 long-haul drivers, Fleet Owner gave me money, film, a 2-hour medical exam, and plane tickets to use if I gave up en route. The result of this was a telegram from editor Boyce, which I received on arrival. Congratulations on having made perhaps the longest legal continuous truck run in history. He also said he was envious, but I doubt that. It will be a long time before I will be able to hear the sound of a diesel engine without feeling a certain soreness in the seat of my pants, a certain desire to run in, instead of sit. I was told to take 2 days off in San Francisco to sleep it off and spent most of that time just plain walking. It was quite a ride and a memorable experience. For it, I wish to thank all those who held the ultimate responsibility for my trip to drivers. Floyd, Jim, Gene, Hutch, Jerry, and Jack. They are the ones who, above all others, put up with me, gave me their confidence and precious space in the cab, and got me across the United States in the most fascinating 68 hours and 15 minutes of my life. Dave Weber. After a 2-hour pre-flight medical exam, Ryder Weber saw the truck's cargo boxed and loaded at Hightstown. Watched the trailer's time recorder locked by Navajo Board Chairman David H. Ratner. Looking on our from L. Weber, Fleet Owner Chief Editor Carol Boyce, Navajo Assistant Board Chairman Edward Wirtz, McGraw-Hill Senior Vice Presidents Arthur B. Collins and John W. Taylor, and is seen off by Boyce and Ratner. 11:30 a.m. Friday, Hightstown. N.J. Man, have I got a ride ahead of me. 3 days to the West Coast? After hours of well-wishing, we're on our way. I've always used the old saying, this car rides like a truck. I think I'm in for a good lesson on that one. 2:40 p.m. Cove Valley, Pa. I've driven this turnpike 1,000 times, but I never thought I'd go west this way. I love to watch this guy Jim go through these 15 gears. But that air-powered shift sounds just like a sneeze. Imagine it's not amusing to Jim. He'd probably prefer an automatic. Floyd, wake up. It's your turn. Our first stop. 3 minutes. That's all we can afford on this run. I've got to shoot some pictures going through these tunnels. 4:30 p.m. Breezewood here comes the weekend traffic. That family that just passed us, the car with California plates. I'll bet we get there before they do. 5:45 Interstate 70, New Stanton, Pennsylvania. Just off the turnpike, I must have fallen asleep. What happened to the last 2 tunnels? Rough road. No kidding. Time for a 50 miles per hour lunch. On a trip like this, you forget about sitting still to eat. These are great liverwurst sandwiches. Why does everyone have to go out in their car on Friday night? Won't they ever get this freeway done? 8:52 p.m. Cambridge, Ohio. We'll be all night getting through this town. Another chapter in the case of the unfinished freeway. Time for fuel, and a driver's switch, and a good stretch. 3 more thermos bottles of coffee. How can I keep a good log if I can't see the odometer 7 feet away? Too noisy to ask the driver. I'll wake up Jim if I do. 1:25 a.m. Welcome to Saturday. In Indianapolis. This bypass is wonderful. 14 hours down, how many to go? We're running ahead of schedule. If we get to the coast too early, there'll be nobody there to take our pictures. Floyd, wake up again. I'm ready for that bunk. So am I. But, of course, a sleepy driver gets the bed ahead of a sleepy reporter. 7:49 a.m. No, that's not right. It's 6:49. Or is St. Louis on standard time? Weigh station ahead closed. Good? We've been weighed twice already, and we're not going to get any heavier. Let's call Kansas City and tell them we're coming. Dave, be our guest in the bunk. Missouri isn't much to see anyway. Thanks. Finally, out of that seat. 10:50 a.m. Hey, Floyd, you hear something? Sounds like we've got a flat. Terminal's only half a mile. We'll make it. 1,193 miles behind us, and we have a flat in sight of the Kansas City terminal. Amazing. Well, Dave, have a good ride. We're going to bed. 11:26 a.m. Tire change, tank filled, tank checked over, and off we go. This stopover took too long. We'll do better. How will I introduce myself to a new pair of drivers? How do you explain that you've been in the cab for over 24 hours and still want to go another 2 days? Hutch, you pick these chicken bones. I've got some driving to do. He sure does 800 miles. Who's going to eat all this food? This run's coffee consumption is over a gallon already. This is new territory to me, never seen Kansas. Not much to see. Hutch, what about those reports of high water? Only trouble may be at Hutchinson going across the Arkansas River. Think the road's open, though. There goes that little red sports car. Passed us yesterday. If he stopped for the night, he's making awfully good time. 5:19 p.m. Get that camera ready. Here comes Hutchinson. The water's a foot under the bridge. Away we go. The headwind is murder. I haven't been in high direct in so long, I'll forget how. 45 miles per hour. This truck won't get out of its own way. We could use a sail if we were going the other direction. Gene, your turn with this rig. Let's stop and get some more coffee. Ice water's low, too. I'm not worried about running out of fuel. Anyway, the coffee these guys drink would run this thing faster than diesel fuel any day. But how do you eat potato salad out of a paper plate at 45 miles per hour on a rough road with no spoon? You get it on your nose. That's how. Tastes good, though. 631 Pratt, Kansas, Route 54. The air conditioners had a worse workout than I have. And it quit. I'm still running. Not much need for bypass routes here. Not much to bypass. 2:39 a.m. Nope. 1:39 a.m. Where are we? Tucumcari pickup U.S. 66. Just slept through Texas. Always thought Tucumcari was a very poetic name. Right now I'm too sore and stiff to be poetic. 4 hours to Albuquerque, and here come the mountains. These guys know what they're talking about. 4 hours of dark, lonely country later, Albuquerque. It's not that I would ever turn back or refuse a ride like this. But it's 5 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I'm sitting in the cab of a truck bouncing through New Mexico. I'm a New Yorker, and I hate to see the sunrise. Now, what am I doing here? They never told me about this in journalism school. Weber, stop complaining and take some more pictures. Navajo Freightlines, Albuquerque Terminal. Good grief, They've even got a professional photographer here. And I watched two more drivers go off to bed. 7:30 a.m., and there goes the Continental Divide. Only cost us 1/2 hour for that last stop. Between the mountain tunnels of Pennsylvania and the Kansas prairie, a flat tire was changed at the Kansas City terminal. Early Sunday, Weber arrived in Albuquerque with drivers Gene Cole and W.T. Hutchinson. Better. Time to eat. Menu this time includes steak sandwiches and cherry pie. Lot of traffic for Sunday morning. These Westerners get up a lot earlier than I ever would. Right now, I don't have much choice. Wish I could stop and buy a 10-gallon hat. And, bless Navajo, a thermos of milk. Those guys can have their coffee. They're on the 3rd gallon now. 24 hours to go. High noon high in Arizona. The weather has been beautiful. Here we go across the Mojave Desert. These guys have a real protocol on greeting oncoming vehicles. From the East Coast into Illinois, they wave only at their buddies. From there to Kansas City, all Navajo trucks and all Freightliners are added. From Kansas City, they've waved at all trucks, and now the guys are waving at buses too. Now they flash their lights as well as wave at Navajo rigs. And at all pretty girls who go by. Keeps a man busy all the time. Downgrade next 20 miles. Caution. Wind currents. 8 p.m. Barstow, California. For the first time, I'm sad to see the sun go down. Today, I have seen the most beautiful natural scenery of my life. There goes that red sports car roaring by us again. Midnight. Most of our foods. Gone. Try sitting all day on a roller coaster in a straight back chair with your feet in a box of sandwiches. Jerry, take the wheel a while. Okay, Jack. I'm going to sit up a while and let our passenger get some sleep. Let's get him there alive. Fresno's a lovely town, as seen through the berth window. 4:45 a.m. Exit here for Oakland. A diesel tractor is a terribly powerful sounding machine, and it suddenly seems deadly quiet. For the first time in 68 hours and 15 minutes, I can't hear the roar over, under, and around me. Time to call my boss and tell him I've made it. Then I've got a story to write. With the Mojave Desert and the Golden Gate Bridge behind, the shipment arrived at McGraw-Hill's West Coast Distribution Center, Corte Madera, north of San Francisco. Weber, unshaven and 6 pounds lighter, talks over the last leg of the trip with drivers Jerry Graham and Jack Boyd, and shows the route followed on the trip to Harry Graves, book company vice president. Dock-to-dock time was 71 hours, 8 minutes. Facts and figures. Departure. Heightstown Inn. J. 60 miles south of New York City. 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time Friday, June 25, 1965 arrival. Oakland, California. Navajo Terminal, 4:45 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time Monday, June 28, 1965 total miles, 3117. Total elapsed time, 68 hours, 15 minutes. Average miles per hour, 45. 5. Total elapsed time. New Jersey to Kansas City, 48 miles per hour. Kansas City to Albuquerque, 44 miles per hour. Albuquerque to Oakland, 47 miles per hour. Load, 22,000 textbooks, 31,261 pounds, in cartons on pallets. Destination, McGraw-Hill Book Division Warehouse. Corte Madera, California, north of San Francisco. Delivered, 7:38 a.m. Dock-to-dock time, 71 hours, 8 minutes. Carrier, Navajo Freight Lines. Headquarters, Denver, Colorado. Equipment, Tractor No. 4155, 1965 white Freightliner. Cab over engine with sleeper. Air-conditioned. Cummins diesel NH250. Trailer No. 2044, 40 feet. Fruhouse standard 12 feet, 6 inches. Van. Drivers, New Jersey to Kansas City. Floyd Hagawood, Raytown, Missouri. Jim Carter, Kansas City, Kansas. Kansas City to Albuquerque. Gene Cole, Butler, Missouri. W.T. Hutchinson, Parkville, Missouri. Albuquerque to Oakland, California. Jerry Graham, Jack Boyd, both of Albuquerque. The interstate highway system was of real benefit to this coast-to-coast run and promises to be of increased significance as it is further completed. We passed many, many miles of freeway under construction. Over the route of this trip, the benefit of major completed portions of freeways, expressways, and turnpikes were felt from Heightstown to the Pennsylvania-West Virginia line. Intermittently in many parts of Ohio, short stretches of Indiana, Illinois, New Mexico, and California, almost the entire state of Missouri. On this run, at least, the interstate system in rural areas is not of as much benefit as in urban situations, for the simple reason that our truck could usually maintain its top speed legally on 2- or 3-lane roads. Further, many portions of the trip involved routes which, although not up to interstate standards, are nevertheless faster by design than a typical rural road situation. U.S. 40 U.S. 66 and U.S. 99 are, of course, major cross-country arteries. But there are two other points in favor of rural freeways, however. One is the safety factor, involving the increased separation of traffic flowing in opposite directions. Cross-traffic is eliminated, and so is the necessity to share lanes with oncoming traffic when passing. The other is that figures from this trip alone make it impossible to calculate the time saving from the usually lesser grades of the interstate system in mountain terrains. The overall conclusion, in regard to rural roads, however, is that the freeway's benefit to the truck is less than to the car, for the simple reason that the truck is going slower, thus has to pass fewer vehicles. On the other hand, the value of urban expressways to runs of this type cannot be overstated. The best single example of this is the case of Wheeling, W.Va., long considered a major bottleneck on U.S. 40. There the route is a narrow, usually 2-lane road, winding through town, over a large hill. 2 sections of Interstate 70 have been completed, one in the center of town, the other in Ohio serving as a feeder and bypassing Bridgeport, a part of the metropolitan area. The log in detail. 7:26 p.m. 83072, odometer. Enter Wheeling U.S. 40. 7:31 p.m. 83073, begin expressway. I.R. 70, 5 minutes for a mile. 7:35 p.m. 83076, end expressway, begin 2-lane, 4 minutes to go 3 miles. 7:51 p.m. 83080, begin expressway, 16 minutes to go 4 miles. In short, the truck averaged about 12 miles per hour on city streets, as opposed to over 40 miles per hour on expressways in the same area. Again and again, it was the same story. Where the expressways are completed, you get through fast. Through St. Louis, 28 miles in 40 minutes on the Mark Twain Expressway. Around Indianapolis on an out-of-belt expressway, 20 miles in 30 minutes. The effect of a cross-country freeway system becomes understandable when it is realized that there are about 75 cities and towns on the route we followed which were large enough to slow us down. Some of these were bypassed or had completed freeways. Were it possible to maintain 40 miles per hour through every one of these, the time saving would be significant.